What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Next Generation Podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Blake.
And I'm Will.
And today we'll be having a discussion with the CEO and founder of Rivian, Dr. R.J. Scaringe.
For those of you who don't know, Rivian is an electric vehicle company that currently produces two consumer vehicles, the R1T, an electric pickup truck, and the R1S, a 7-passenger electric SUV.
RJ has built Rivian from the ground up and has turned it into one of the largest EV companies in the United States.
A few months ago, Blake and I were invited out to New York City to meet RJ and the team at a Rivian event.
At the event, we learned so much about Rivian's culture and rationale, and the genesis of a lot of the questions you'll hear from us today came from that day. It was just a few months ago when every time I would see a Rivian, I would take a picture and send it to Will, but nowadays they're just becoming so common.
And now, here we are in Rivian's electric vehicle plant in Normal, Illinois, about 2 hours south of Chicago, to interview the man that made this all possible.
We just toured and filmed the entire plant where Rivian manufactures all their vehicles.
Let's head right in.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Next Generation Podcast YouTube channel. Here we are at Rivian's electric vehicle manufacturing plant in Normal, Illinois.
We're entering the coolest part.
I'm gonna go over to the body shop where we started about right here. Yeah. We went here, over here, and then walked all the way back.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
You got your heads back?
No.
Okay.
Oh! That is insane.
RJ, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming out. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, and you're joined by your son Pete, which is
Pete, say hi.
great to see. Hi.
You know.
So let's just jump right in. So starting an electric vehicle company like Rivian is obviously no easy task. So to start, let's just dive into some of like the motivations and inspirations you've had from a young age that really allowed you to build a successful brand.
So, where did you grow up, and like, what was your middle school and high school experience kind of like?
So I, since I was somewhere between your age and my son's age, Pete's age, I know I wanted to start this company, and
Wow.
it was born out of I just had this deep love and affection for cars, and I since sort of my earliest memories, and loved working on them, loved thinking about them, loved understanding like how decisions are made and why certain cars looked one way and why other cars looked another way, and surprisingly somehow around that age decided I wanted to work on this and decided I wanted to start something, and I just sort of dove as deep into understanding everything about cars as I could. So I started working on cars and restoring cars and working working with machines. And my dad's an engineer. He's a PhD mechanical engineer, and so he started to teach me as much as he could. And
That's awesome.
so it was sort of in that environment that this started to come to life.
Yeah, so was it your dad that inspired that interest and that you knew you wanted to pursue engineering?
Engineering for sure. My dad's more into boats than he is into cars,
Okay,
which is funny.
interesting.
I was definitely always more into cars, but my dad's, he is one of those incredible minds that understands how everything works.
Yeah, we talked to him in New York City. He seems like an awesome guy.
Yes, you've met him. He's a character. He understands everything. And so when I was a kid, it would really fluster me when I would see something I didn't know how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And mechanical things you can figure out sort of somewhat intuitively. You can look at something and sort of imply a force balance or that sort of thing. But I had a really hard time understanding how a semiconductor worked.
Okay.
So I remember distinctly when I was like 7 or 8 asking my dad how this little like piece of silicon could do all this stuff. And of course he went about explaining it in a lot of detail. But he was definitely an inspiration for me to have that like thirst to understand.
Were there any, special subjects or courses other than engineering that you really took from school?
I mean, I was good at math and I enjoyed science. I was in the science research club, so which is you do science projects, you build a hypothesis, you create a set of experiments to test the hypothesis.
That's kind of what you're doing here with, Rivian.
Yeah, it's a big hypothesis. But I was always into that, and I had again, my dad helped build me this shed that became like my little laboratory, and I would have equipment in there, and I had all sorts of things I was always testing and building, and so I was interested in chemicals as well, so I'd be combining different things and seeing what it would do, and sort of very in a brute force way learning the scientific method. But that had the benefit of my dad helping me.
So how did some of the skills you learned in school translate to helping you build a company?
I think when you're building a company, or for that matter, building anything, you need to have a level of determination, because things won't always go as planned. And so the way I often describe Rivian is that it's this is not a paved path. So this is as if you're going on a hike and you don't know where the path is going to go. It's not always level ground. Sometimes you have to reach and grab for a rock, and you think the rock is sort of in the side of the mountain, and it comes loose, and you're like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. So you sort of have to have a level of resilience and robustness of motivation to get through those really hard moments. And I think you can learn that in so many ways. So you learn it through school, you learn it through sports, you learn it through projects. In my case, I ultimately studied, did a PhD, and none of the things I worked on my PhD directly translate into Rivian, but it's this exercise in solving hard problems and doing it with compressed timelines, and those are helpful skills for building something like this.
For sure.
Yeah, so you have your PhD in mechanical engineering. How did you learn your business skills, which is completely different than mechanical engineering, to help scale a company?
The reality is I learned by far and away the most just by starting the business. And I often say today that it was really helpful that in the beginning we didn't have all the things we needed. So we didn't have all the capital, we didn't have all the suppliers, it was a team of one, it was just me. Until we hired our first employee, then it was a team of two.
But how did you convince people to come work for you and risk their livelihood?
Yeah, it was hard. It was probably one of the most stressful parts was I didn't have kids at the time, so Pete's my oldest. He's 7 now, so so I didn't carry the burden of thinking about like providing for my kids or my family, but we were hiring people that did. And so I remember the first employee we hired that had kids, and I didn't think anything of it until they started, and we had like a employee get together, and they brought their family. I'm like, oh wow, we can't screw this up. You have kids, and so that weighed heavily on me. In fact, that was probably one of the most stressful parts in the beginning.
Driving factor, though, like
just
this has to work.
recognizing, like we have to make this work. It created a level of helpful anxiety, helpful stress. Some of the folks I'm thinking about right now, they're still at Rivian, and their kids are not much older. They're older than Pete, much older than Pete, and like the experiences that those kids also went through, like sort of growing up with their parents being part of Rivian. And, that's why I invited Pete to join us here, so he could be inspired by you guys to see what you're building. But it is, I think it's joining a company at that early of a stage. It has a whole different type of experience. It's hard to appreciate because the challenges are steep, the unknowns are high, but it's an experience that's like once in a lifetime.
For sure.
And the whole company could fit at this table not too long ago.
And there's a few
12
people.
years ago, we could have all just sat down here and had a whole company all hands.
So when we spoke to you in NYC a few months ago, you said that the two key ingredients to starting a company is hard work and optimism. So can you give me an example on when that really helped you, especially in the early days?
If you don't have those two things, there's no chance, because it is really hard work, harder than you think. And it's hard both like physically, like you need to put a lot of hours in, but it's also hard emotionally, hence the optimism, because in the beginning of any business, whether it's a car company, a software application, anything, you're going to have a lot of people or entities or signals that are telling you it's a bad idea or it's not going to work. So I remember so distinctly as if it was yesterday in 2013, 2014, when we were out talking to suppliers around the idea of an electric truck or an electric SUV. It wasn't as if people thought that was a good idea. It was universally thought it was a horribly bad idea, including big well-known suppliers, including big well-known sort of thought leaders in the automotive space. And so you have to be able to separate that from your own confidence and resolve to go solve this.
So how do you stay optimistic when it seems like all these things are against you?
When you like pull out that rock when it's it's supposed to be stable.
the way I always put it is it's a lot more fun to be optimistic than it is to be pessimistic. But like the role of being the CEO or being a founder is you have to be wildly optimistic, but you have to recognize the topics for which there's risk so that you're not blindly optimistic. And late at night when you're lying in bed, that's when those two worlds, like understanding the risks and being able to like chart a course around them, but being wildly optimistic, those two can often come into collision, and those are the hard nights. That's when you're like sitting there saying, boy, if I got this right, can I pull this off? And sometimes those really hard situations, the only way through it is to just say, I'm going to just keep pushing. So hence the hard work. And
for sure. So, you've talked about all the challenges you've gone through, and right now, like you said, everything's kind of running very smoothly.
Well, starting to run more smoothly.
Run smoothly.
You have a ways to go, but
Do you take this as like, let's keep going further, or are you trying to expand off of this?
Well, I mean, of course, and we'd like to continue producing more and more vehicles here. We're building out, sort of in parallel to growing capacity, we're building out a lot of the what we call go-to-market sides of the business. So essentially, how do we deliver and sell and service all the vehicles? There's now a lot on the road, so you go to almost any place in the country, you'll probably see one or two. If you go to California, you see a lot of them.
Yeah, definitely.
They're everywhere.
Which is awesome. But then we have the products that come after what we call R1. So R1's the flagship product. I haven't shown R2 or any of its future derivatives yet, but we are like beyond excited to show them.
Yeah,
coming out soon.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent for me of like late 2017, early 2018, where there's like a highly asymmetric situation where we know how cool R2 is going to be. Of course, we better, but the world hasn't yet seen it. So today it's sort of this esoteric idea of like the next thing, but it doesn't yet have a look or a feel for you.
Yeah.
So we're beyond excited to be able to show that.
How do you like perceive competition in the new industry? How much does that push you to make the best electric vehicle you can?
I think it's great. I mean, try to imagine watching the Olympics if there was no competition.
Exactly.
Like, we wouldn't run as fast. We wouldn't jump as high. It wouldn't be as interesting. Nobody would pay attention. I think it's really good to have a healthy marketplace of choices. I think it's good for us. I think it's ultimately it's good for the world. I mean, we have something we talk about internally as a way to try or attempt to remove politics from the idea of sustainability, and we talk about our kids.
Yeah.
And that's not a left or a right thing. It's that one of the things we see is it's our core to our species is we care about our kids. Like I care about Pete, your parents care about you, I care about Pete's kids when they come, and so it's this wonderful aligning mechanism to say, look, this is much bigger than Rivian. This is about us as a planet moving to an energy system and a transportation system that can work for generations to come and preserve the only place we can realistically house 8+ billion people, which is Earth. It's not like we can quickly move to it. We don't have a second planet to move to. This is our home. So I take it really, take our generation and your generation has like a real responsibility for the many generations to come to make this big transition as a planet.
Yeah. So while you were building the company, were there any other companies, not necessarily automakers, but just companies or people that inspired you as you built the company, like to make the best products? Like take Apple, for example. I
think Apple's done an amazing job with products, and this is one of my favorite products right now. This watch is great. I mean, they've just done such a good job of creating products that are, I'd say, seamlessly integrate technology and product design. And when we think about, like, if I compare this to this or a Rivian to this cup, the thing that makes a car or a complex device so interesting from a development point of view is take our R1T. It's not possible for a single human to design that vehicle on their own. Sure. There's too many decisions. So we estimate there's in excess of 10 million decisions that are necessary to so every radius, every part, every interface, every material selection, every line of code. And so if you could live several thousand years, conceivably one person could design it entirely from one engineer could do the entire vehicle, every single part. But the reality is designing a vehicle is this exercise in massive engineering coordination. So you have thousands of people working in parallel to do something in a much shorter period of time. And so the best products, the ones that inspire me the most, are the ones that feel like one person did it. So despite the fact that there's several thousand people working on the problem,
Yeah.
when you open the front trunk, when you open the door, when you drive it, when you turn the steering wheel, it feels as if one
Seamless,
brain
yeah,
worked on that. And
For
that
sure. It's all in
that
sync.
takes a lot of coordination. It takes really crisp identification of how you make decisions, how you prioritize different aspects of making those decisions.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about Rivian's mission of enabling and inspiring adventure and how you landed on that?
We landed on it with a lot of iteration. We wanted to build a brand that, it says in our coffee cup, has an element of adventure to it. And adventure, we often think of through the lens of like an extreme version of outdoor adventure. So climbing a mountain, that's of course a version of adventure, but adventure is really, in our view, sort of at the core of life.
For sure.
So it's an adventure is trying out a new food. It's starting a business. It's learning something that you didn't know. It's saying yes to something that scares you. And so we want to embody that in the brand, this sort of inviting aspect to learn and grow. And because it's such an innate, wonderful human characteristic, and in many ways it's at the core of why we travel. It's why personal mobility is so attractive. It's this idea of like accumulating new experiences. And it's the reason we're sitting here in the United States, is we were curious about what was across that big block of water.
Yeah.
But the other element is we wanted to connect to the outdoors in the broadest of sense, meaning different for anybody. Maybe beach maybe for you, mountains for somebody else, river for somebody else. But because if you're more exposed to getting out and experiencing real life, you're more likely to want to protect that thing and more likely to care about that. So that was the original idea, is help make the outdoors accessible, and do it in a way that's so inviting and so open to, regardless of age, regardless of background, regardless of ethnicity. It's something that's just universally attractive. And that was how we thought about building the brand and the features that aggregate into the brand.
So what are your core inspirations or motivations today? What inspires you to get out of the bed in the morning?
So the thing that actually inspires me the most in the world are my kids.
Yeah.
So
What up, Pete?
with Pete and his brothers, Max and Miles. And despite the fact that I think I may be boring you a little bit here, Pete, their innate curiosity, I think is so, it's actually it's just wildly inspiring, because what I find is we can all, especially as I get older, you sort of can feel yourself learning the dogmas of the world. So learning, this is why something's like that. And some of the most profound and interesting questions I get asked ever are the questions my kids ask me. And they're willing to ask why to things that we've just grown accustomed to sort of thinking we know why. The other thing that I find inspiring for us as a company, what informs a lot of our strategy, is how do we help, through our products and through what we do as a company, how do we help people access that joy? And whether that's finding joy in seeing a half crescent moon come up, or finding joy in seeing the sun come up over the edge of the ocean, or finding joy in a big open field of trees. And so again, that's in part you view the world with the deep curiosity that comes with idealism, which very often comes with being a kid. It's something that's really powerful. So I don't have it on me, but my notebook, probably not every day, but at least 3 or 4 times a week, I'll be in a meeting or something, and I'll write to myself, stay idealistic, because you'll be in meetings, you'll be in tough situations where it's so easy to feel idealism torn down or ripped down. And I think it's one of our most human traits is our ability to be idealistic. It's something that's distinct from all the other species on the earth.
For sure.
So what advice would you have for maybe someone our age that's interested in engineering or entrepreneurship in general?
It's going to sound probably something you've heard before. Find something that you really care about and love, and go for it. I think that there'll be things there'll be ups and downs and lefts and rights, but if you truly love what you're working on and are passionate about it, that's just the texture of the experience. It doesn't. It's a totally different thing than if you're doing something for the wrong reasons or if you're not really passionate about something. But when you're passionate about something, all the hard points just become points of learning.
Now we're going to sort of transition into some quick rapid fire questions.
All right, rapid fire. Pete, you ready?
Getting to know you.
Pete needs
maybe.
rapid fire, huh?
Hey, if Pete wants to answer some of these, that's okay.
So rapid fire number 1, what do you like doing in your free time?
Oh boy, Pete, what do you think we like doing in our free time?
Some hobbies or
what's your favorite thing?
Doing night drives.
Night drives.
Night drives.
So
Awesome.
me and Pete, so I have 3 kids, and each one I do something special with. One of the special things I do with Pete is we'll go for a drive together, just him and I in the car, and it's like this amazing chance to talk.
Yeah.
And what else do we do in the car when you're with me?
Go to like stores and stuff.
You get hot chocolate?
Yeah.
He gets hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate makes the whole trip. I mean, so we're let's see, night drives. We like to
Night
go
drives.
hiking.
I heard you're a big mountain biker.
Yeah, Pete and I were mountain biking
Awesome.
last weekend.
Oh, wow.
Did you go on a hard trail, Pete?
Yeah.
He's way better at 7 on a bike than I was at 25
Mountain
on a
biking's
bike.
tough.
I
Yeah.
had a really good fall last week.
Oh, nice.
Cracked a rib, but that's okay.
Whoa.
Yeah, just one.
Jeez. Okay.
But yeah, we love to bike.
Awesome. Yeah. All right.
What's your favorite feature about Rivians that you don't see in other cars?
So on the truck, it's definitely the gear tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gear tunnel is really handy for
We
putting
got
stuff.
to climb through the gear tunnel.
Yeah.
Here.
My kids love climbing through the gear tunnel. Some of the features that I didn't realize how much I liked them until later are some of the ones that I enjoy the most. So we have a flashlight at the door.
Okay.
Now it sounds like, that's not a huge feature, but boy, is
Yeah.
it handy at the
Yeah.
house. Because whenever I need a flashlight, I know
It's in the door.
I
Yeah.
just need to find the car. If I can find the car, which is usually a lot easier than finding a flashlight in a drawer somewhere, I know there's a flashlight in the door. So that's been really fun.
Yeah.
But actually, like the way the vehicles drive and the sort of the diverse set of drive modes is really fun.
All right. Did you play any sports when you were a young kid?
I did. I played basketball.
Nice.
I used to play a lot of basketball, and I ran track.
Oh, nice.
But I played through high school. I was a captain of the team my senior year.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, which was fun.
If you could describe the company in one word, what would it be?
I would describe the word that we strive to
Rivian.
achieve
Okay.
is inviting.
Okay.
We try to invite people into being part of electrification. We try to create an inviting experience for people to go experience sort of life in a active, adventurous way. And we try to make it really inviting for our team members to feel like they can, we always say, do the best work of their lives.
Okay.
What's the most memorable adventure you've ever gone on in a Rivian?
In a Rivian?
Yep.
Oof, we've done a lot.
If you want to.
I would say probably the best adventures were all the adventures we took way before we officially launched,
Okay.
because I would be driving early prototypes and development vehicles, and they'd break down and they'd get stuck. We were at the top of a mountain, and this is probably a year and a half before start of production on an early development what we call development vehicle. And we had the full front suspension fail. Remember that, Pete? And we had to ride down the mountain without any front suspension.
Oh.
It was fun.
That's yeah. No shocks on the.
We've early in the development, we also remember the time we took one out and got stuck in the snow?
Yeah.
How badly did we get stuck?
Super bad.
Super bad.
Everybody, we started a giant traffic jam.
We were on this off-road trail.
Everybody got out of their car, came and tried helping us,
Yeah.
and
Pushing and pulling.
pushing on the back or the front.
Pushing on the back, yeah.
Because I felt like they were pulling.
We had somebody pulling. So this is a fun story. So this is probably also about a year and a half before we started production. We were on an early development property. Nothing broke, but the vehicle, as you know, has 4 motors.
Uh-huh.
and has
And
a
we're doing sports mode.
and yeah, we were in different modes. So there's all these different ways to control the four motors and like sophisticated ways to control torque. And one of the hard modes to manage is snow.
Okay.
And so we were on the top of a mountain covered in snow, and we got badly stuck. And there was a row of, must have been like 30 cars stuck behind us. And so I'm like, oh, this is going to end up on the internet. Everybody's going to take pictures. And anyways, I went and like corralled all those people, and Pete helped. And we got everybody to help us push
Wow.
the Rivian out.
Nice.
Now the control systems in the car are so sophisticated that that would never happen. But,
yeah, but that's
that was like
hilarious.
early in our controls development, yeah.
So, something that me and Blake do at the end of every episode is trivia, and we thought we'd take this opportunity to quiz you
Okay.
on
See if
automotive
you
industry.
see if you really are the expert.
Oh boy.
So we'll ask you
No,
5
boys.
questions, try 5 trivia questions, and we'll just see how you do.
All right.
So the first question is, in 1909, Henry Ford famously said, quote, "A customer can have a car painted any color he wants as long as it's black."
Okay.
They did this because black paint was cheap and it reduced friction in the assembly line. In what year did Ford first produce a car that wasn't black?
I do know this. So I think it was 1927.
Oh, 1 year off.
1926,
1926.
yeah.
That's insane.
It
That's
was right
really
before
good.
the end of Model T.
Yeah.
Okay.
Model
Yeah,
T ended
exactly.
in 29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's impressive.
All right. Right now, what is the most popular car model in the world?
The Tesla Model Y.
No. That doesn't have to be an EV, just any.
Oh. I'm only thinking in EVs, so.
Yeah.
I think Tesla Model Y
RJ
would be right,
speaks
though.
EV.
Most popular car model in the world? I don't know, Corolla?
Yeah.
Good job. Let's go.
That's correct. Okay. What is the
1.75 for 2.
Yep.
What is the electric version of Formula One?
Formula E.
Correct.
Yeah.
Good job.
Wow, RJ's crushing it.
All right. In what year was the first commercially available hybrid car, the Toyota Prius, introduced?
1997.
I
Wow.
mean, this is
Yeah.
it's just
Okay.
easy.
This one's gonna be maybe a little trickier. Our last question. What legally required car part was invented by Mary Anderson in 1903?
Stumped them.
This
No,
is
I'll figure it out. Hold on.
legal. It's legally required in all cars today.
Yeah, there's a lot of choices.
1903.
The seatbelt.
No.
Headlight.
No. It's the windshield wiper.
Windshield wiper.
Windshield wiper.
That's good. Okay.
Okay, well, you did really well. You know,
Yeah, that's
absolutely nailed
quite impressive.
those questions. So, to finish everything off, what would your message be to the next generation of people?
Recognize we're at this moment in the history books that'll be paid attention to closely. And it's both a gift. It's a gift to be able to be alive in a moment that's so important for the future of livability of our planet. But it's also a responsibility for us to be part of that transition. And I think a responsibility for us to contribute in ways that in the aggregate will ultimately result in the history books saying, thank goodness those people from sort of 2000 to 2100 got their act together and helped transition the planet as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, RJ, for joining us on the Next
this has
Generation
been
podcast.
an incredible experience.
Thanks for taking the time out of your very busy and hectic schedule.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
talk
Yeah, it was
about
fun.
This has been awesome.
Thanks for letting Pete join.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
of course. All right.
I think you had fun, right, Pete?
Yeah.
Most
Thank
of
you
it?
guys,
Wasn't
and we'll
too-
see
too
you in the
bad?
next one.
All right. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank you
much.
so much.
That was awesome.
This was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Pete. We just interviewed the CEO, RJ Scaringe.
This kid's dad. Going on a golf cart to tour the plant again.
What?